is. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what, told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me, it's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm backed up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am here today, Ink to Ink, Incarceration to Incorporation. I'm glad that you came to join us today. First of all, my hosts, Marie Jones and Julius Hall, they will not be with us today, but I do have two amazing people that will be joining us tonight. We are going to talk to them, but before we introduce our guests, I want to tell you why we are here tonight. We are here at Ink to Ink for a specific reason, and that is to change the narrative. What narrative is that? It is the false narrative that men and women who go out of prison automatically return back. And how do we do that? We do that by, number one, providing a platform of telling our stories. What stories? The stories of how we are now becoming successful in our own rights. And so here to do that tonight, we have two amazing guests that's going to tell us a little bit about re-entry inside and out. Re-entry inside and out. What do I mean when I say that? Well, re-entry, they're going to tell us a little bit about what that entails. But when we say inside and out, we're talking about starting from the inside of the prison and then working its way out to the outside. We are going to talk about that tonight with our two guests, but I want to go ahead and start right now as we get on moving. First of all, we got my main man, Fred. You know him. He's been with us for a few times. And not only do we have Fred, but we have Miss Adrian Nottage. So if you would, I would like both of you to tell us a little bit about who you are and what is your relationship, if you will, to incarceration. I'll start with you first, Ms. Nottage.
Okay, my name is Adrian Nottage, and I've been with the Department of Correction for a total of 15 years. I started out as an officer and moved my way to be a counselor. Within the last, 5 or 6 months, I've joined Pathways Home 2, which helps formerly incarcerated offenders become citizens, be able to get a job, nice help with, the living arrangements, or just getting them ready to re-enter back into society.
Great. Okay. And we are definitely going to hear your story, what you do, and what you want to share with our listeners as a resource. Fred, what up? Uh-oh. What is going on with my brother? I just seen some wiggly lines going on there. So,
Yeah.
So I guess Fred is out of the picture for a moment, but once he gets himself together, we would definitely have him to come back in. Ms. Adrian, let me share something as I allow you to come in. I want you to be calm. Okay. This is not something that we're going to ask you that you don't know. I want you to get comfortable with your audience. What I mean by that is we are on Facebook right now, YouTube, and we're also broadcasting in Jessup. Did he say something, Fred? You heard me? Oh, looks like he's trying to get in there. What's up, Tisha? Tisha Fulton is listening all the way from Las Vegas. Thank you. Good morning or good evening to you as well. But Miss Adrian, let me start off as we get ready to transition.
Okay.
I myself was incarcerated for 26 years. Now I've been home for 3 years. My transition was smooth, but in some cases it is not. What do I mean by that? I had those key components that were necessary for a smooth transition, which are these four: gainful employment,
Mm-hmm.
stable housing,
Mm-hmm.
family support, and
Correct.
community support. I had those things, but
Right.
there are many men and women who are coming home. They do not have those things and to be able to have a smooth transition. So are you, as it relates to Pathways to Home, is that something that you are doing right now? Explain to us the conception of Pathways to Home and then explain how that is going to assist men and women.
Okay. The conception of Pathways Home 2 is we have been delegated to service 500 individuals that are incarcerated to make them become viable returning citizens.
Mhm.
With that, what Pathway Home 2 does, we go inside of the institution. Once we're in the institution, we have a selection of individuals that attends our trainings, which are manufacturing, logistics, and welding.
Okay.
So while they're in there, they have to have like 6 months to a year about to be released, so they can earn certifications.
Tell us,
And
wait a minute, because some of these terminologies my listeners may not understand. What is logistics?
logistics is like warehouse work.
Okay.
Yeah, and welding is welding.
Well, we understand that, but
Yeah, logistics is like the warehouse, doing the warehouse work and
okay.
using forklifts. So while they're incarcerated, and when they're in the logistics class, they will earn a forklift certification, the CLA and the CLT. The CLA is the certified logistic
Okay.
assistant training, and the CLT is the certified logistic technician training. With the welding, he has like several different components along as the manufacturing.
So
But
what I'm
there,
going to do as you are walking through this, there are going to be some times when I interject as it relates to a terminology
okay.
or okay. So I want you to be careful so that all of my listeners will understand. What's up, my boy? Shout out to you as well, Longislio. He's watching us as well, and there are going to be some listeners that may ask you a couple of questions as well. But what's going on, Ambassador? So again, tell us again about the conception, because one of your directors is not on tonight, and if we can ever get Fred in, I want you to tell us what y'all are doing and why y'all are doing it.
Okay, what we are doing is making the transition better for individuals going back into society, because as you said, a lot of the participants, because we don't call them offenders, but the participants, a lot of them, they don't have the support with family, friends, or their community. Some are banned and can't go back.
He tried. Can you hear us, Fred? Go ahead, Adrian.
Well, so with that being said, Pathways Home 2, we go in and we give them the training from the 6 months to a year while they're there. Once they complete their training, they are released. They get a case manager that follows them for a year to make sure that they get employment. Before they leave, we have employment, make sure they have stable housing. If they have mental health issues, we make sure we set them up with a mental health facility to be treated or whatever. We also provide, like if we have one that have substance abuse, we also provide them with substance abuse treatment, as well as what's the oh God, what's the other one?
Well, it will come to you. And just again, be calm because we're just really kicking it. Why did you choose this? Number one. Number two, you say Pathway Home 2. What happened to Pathway Home 1?
When I came in, like I said, I was with the Department of Correction, and my director, who was formerly my boss, he was the deputy warden of care and treatment at Coastal.
Okay.
All right. So once he became the director with Pathways Home 2, I can tell you what happened with Pathways Home 1. But Pathways Home 1 is pretty much in another area.
Okay.
And we're 2, and we're going to have a 3, but it's in like different cities.
Okay, different cities and regions. So you started out, as you stated, in incarceration, correct?
Correct.
As an officer, and then you moved to a counselor.
Correct.
Okay, and so then you say your director right now, he started out as a warden of deputy warden.
Deputy warden care and treatment.
Why? And again, my questions will be respectful. So I just want you to be calm. Why did you move from that career to where you are now, if that's not too personal?
It's not too personal. I can say, first off, when I started as an officer, while I was an officer, I seen how some of the counselors would treat the offenders, and how if only they had an address put in, they could go home, or if only this was in the computer, something else would have happened, or like their time was wrong. If only the counselor would have, reached out to sentence computation, they could have been gone. So that's what made me lean toward the counseling aspect, because I felt like, hey, I don't need to be an officer, I can help, So that's why I transitioned to a counselor. And then once my deputy warden in care and treatment, he left and went to Pathways Home 2 as a director, he knew that I was passionate about my job, and I did my job, and I care about my job. So, and I'm always willing to help and assist. So,
wow, that's awesome. And where I want to go, I'm not able to go because right now you're intriguing me. So please just ride with me. I'll make sure that these questions are above board. They'll make sure that you can answer them, and they will not be disrespectful. But I did 26 years. Okay, I told you that, right? And one of the things that I witnessed while I was incarcerated there were those who honestly did care, but did not have the means to do anything. And then there were those who didn't care. And they seemed to be the ones that had all the means to do what they did. How were you able, when you first came into the system, what kept you, I guess the word I want to look for is, what kept you passionate towards helping men that were incarcerated?
I always looked at individuals that it could be me.
Okay.
I have family members who've been incarcerated, and I know I wouldn't want my family member to be treated, a certain way. So that's what kept me. I'm like, I know how I would want to be treated.
Gotcha. Was that attitude or that mindset prevalent in incarceration, or did you find yourself swimming against the grain, if you would?
It was prevalent,
Okay. And you saw opportunities to help while you were there, or you seen that this is not something that I can do. I need to move into a realm where I can have more authority, more leeway, more methods to assist. That's why you changed.
Like while I was there, I was the on-the-job training coordinator.
Okay.
So as being an on-the-job training coordinator, you have offenders that receive pick points. So if you can get them on-the-job training, every on-the-job training certificate that they earn, they will receive a pick point, and that's a month for them to be able to go home. So yeah, so everyone that came into the system when they first got in, I will always enroll them in on-the-job training, so they can receive their pick points, so they can have a month off of each on-the-job training certification that they receive. They will receive a month off. They can receive up to 12 pick points. So I would help them receive their pick points to earn the points to be able to get the year knocked off of their time.
Gotcha. Ambassador Douglas is asking a question, but before I go to that specific question, because that is relating to outside, I'll tell you what it is, just so you can be thinking about it. He says, is it specifically only logistics or welding as it relates to the pathways to home, or are there other trades that are with the organization? Matter of fact, go ahead and answer that now.
Okay, well, I can. It's right now. It's only manufacturing, logistics, and welding. But we have been talking to our participants, asking them what do they feel like we need to bring that will, like culinary arts, um, horticulture, landscaping. You know how some know how to take care of the lawn or whatever, because some like to do that. So we were talking to the participants, asking them what they feel like we need to bring into the institution that others would want to do.
How are men chosen for your program? Because you have a variety of sentences there. You have long-term sentences, life sentences, then you have those with a small sentences. How are men chosen to be a part of the pathway to home, number one? And number two, is this the only prison, coastal, that you're currently in?
Okay, how they're chosen, offender admin chooses. In our selection, it has to be within 6 months to a year of being released.
Gotcha.
Okay. And we're currently also in Effingham County with the manufacturing training.
Gotcha. Okay. And so tell us a little bit about the difference between the inside mindset and the outside mindset, because there had to be a motive or a reasoning for you and Mr. Betterson and Mr. Green to see the need for this program. So tell us about how it's being received by staff and also by offenders. You understand my question? You understand my question? Okay.
Okay. With the participants, we did a poll to ask, like, if we sent a letter asking you to be a part of this program, how many of you would have said you want to be a part of the program instead of them just transferring them in? A lot of them said they wouldn't have, but now that they was transferred in, they're excited about it because they said nothing like that has ever happened in the institution.
Okay. And what about staff? In sincerity, are you experiencing gates of opposition, or are they wholeheartedly on board?
Well, the staff is on board. The staff is on board.
Okay, great. All right, so I have another question for you. Is it difficult to find jobs for returning citizens when they come home?
As of right now, so many companies see that the participants that are locked up are the hardest workers. So we have a lot of companies that as soon as you get them, send them to us,
Great. Well, I have another question because background checks are predominantly some of the things that hinder men from getting jobs. Now, there are some that allow you to come in, but these are level or low level entry jobs. Are the jobs that you are introducing these men to good wages?
Yes, they're starting off $17, $18, $19 an hour.
Sign me up. Okay. Sign me up. Oh my goodness.
Yes, so if you can come out making $17, $18, $19 an hour, I mean, from $9 where you would have to work 2 or 3 jobs to make your ends meet. I mean, and you have stable housing, you have someone you have a case manager. If you're having a problem, you can call.
I like that. So what about when these men, because the program is 6 months long, you said, correct?
No, while they're in there, they have to be about to be released from 6 months to a year. Once they're out, they get a case manager, and we follow them for 1 year to make sure, they stay the structure.
Gotcha. Okay, I got you. And how many men do you allow in the class at a time?
It's 15.
Okay, 15 men. Okay, great.
So we have two cohorts. He for logistics, he teach in the morning and he teach in the afternoon, Mondays and Wednesdays.
And then Weldon.
Weldon has he has 8 because he teaches all day and he has a trailer, so it's not that big, so he only can teach 8 at a time.
Got you. So what do you need us to do? Because how are you getting this message out? What is your method of communicating this to those that are in need? And then I know that's a lot of questions. Are you also helping men that are on the outside that have been out for a while?
Yes. I'm if we meet employers and like we know our participants, they're a lot of, but if we know someone that's in need of a job, hey, we call them up to say, hey, so and so is hiring. All you need to do is go do this. And yeah.
And so do you have a platform to get that information out? Because I noticed one thing when I came home, I heard, especially on the inside, that when you come home, this is happening, that is happening. But when I got home, I did not know
nothing.
how. Yeah, exactly. So how are you getting that message out to different people?
We're having sessions with employers.
Okay.
Like you. We have platforms like you. So right now we're just starting. We're just starting.
Gotcha. So basically, you're going to need word of mouth will be one way of getting, and then you have you come out to places where they're having events, and you do like a resource table, right?
Correct.
All right, and also podcast or radio. So that is something that we can try to help those of you that are listening, that are having some events that are taking place in the city of Savannah. Make sure you reach out to myself, Julius, and that's Julius at deepcenter.org, and we would definitely get that information to Ms. Nottage. But Ms. Nottage, I think that also what will be a help to what you got going on is if you start making yourself known to other resources. And I think the way that you do that is by getting out to these different events. For example, tomorrow we have an event, OAA, Offender Alumni Association, Savannah, at 8011 Waters Avenue. And what we're doing is we are inviting over 50 women to come out in that space. Now, these are returning citizens. These women have been incarcerated or they are relatives of returning citizens. And we're going to have free food and music. And if you need, we can have a table set out for you so that you can share what it is that you're doing. Would you like to do that?
Sure.
I'll be putting you on the spot then. But I will make sure you get that information before we hang up. But tell me a little bit, because now I need to know a little bit about your heart, if you will. Tell us about what you see in the prison and how we can help not only those that are on the outside, but those that are on the inside. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about to the community, because there are more than just counselors and family members, but this is a community thing as well. Do you agree?
Correct.
So what can we do to help you in what your endeavors are, but also to help those that are on the inside?
I guess it's the stigma, breaking the stigma, the barrier stigma that everybody's bad, and when they come out, it's gonna, they can't change. So
I love that. I love that. Breaking the stigma. I see you, Ambassador. That's what we do. The stigma that she's talking about, or that false narrative, is what we like to say, is that recidivism is so high because everybody that's coming home is automatically going right back. But that is not true. It's true. There are men and women like myself who are successful organizationally, relationally, occupationally, their employment wise, they are successfully staying home. And if we can get this message in the media, then it will combat that false narrative. Ambassador says, kudos to your work at Pathways. It sounds very promising and effective. So she says, thank you. And we want, that's one way though, Miss Adrian. can you also be creative? What else can we do to help?
Mhm. Um,
Are y'all in need of volunteers? Or are y'all in need of not only volunteers but donations? Or I mean, is there other things that we might be able to do?
that would be something my director would be able to answer.
Tell us a little bit about your director.
My director is called Betterson. He was the deputy of care and treatment. Um, he was my boss for 2 years, and then he became my director at Pathways Home too.
I met Mr. Betterson, for those of you that are watching, and I met him on 2 occasions, as a matter of fact. And you know, there are those of us that have, again, been incarcerated, and I met many wardens,
He's
deputy
different.
wardens. He is different. And I'm saying that he
Mhm.
is different from the perspective that he really has a heart, like Miss Adrian, for the success of men. And he recognized that he couldn't do it in by and large, a mass. He couldn't
Right.
do it in the position that he was in. So he moved to a position where he could be more hands-on. Am I right in that
Correct.
assessment?
Mm-hmm. You're correct.
Exactly. Ambassador, he says, do you happen to have the statistics for the release and no return to prison status? All right. Do you have that? Those that have gotten out and have not returned?
No, I don't have the statistics.
So that's homework for us, Mr. Douglas. We are going
Right.
to make sure that the
Yeah.
next time we come on, myself or Miss Adrian,
We'll have it.
okay, we're going to have that information for you. As a matter of fact, can you tell us a little bit about your coworker who we were not able to bring on, Mr. Green?
Mr. Green, when I first met Mr. Green, I believe it was at the Sherm meeting where he was given his pardon papers by the attorney. And I see that he's real passionate because himself was also, formerly incarcerated. And I could say he has a big heart and he really wants to help. He's real passionate. He goes real hard.
And I love that you say that he himself is a returning citizen.
Mhm.
He has a shared experience, like we all like to say. We call him Fred, but Mr. Green, he is out in the community. I know one of my brothers always say that when some people come home, they forget about those that they left behind. But Mr.
Right.
Green is
Mm-mm.
one that is the total opposite of that. He is
Yeah.
going hard. And I would love to say this. I believe I can. He now has an opportunity to go inside the prison and be able to share with the men. He is
And he
on the
does.
inside. Go tell us
He
what he's doing.
does. He does. He does. He shares his stories and I think that's what give them the look of, hey, look where you're at now. You know what I'm saying? This could be me. So a lot of them, the ones who when they first, oh man, I don't want to be here, take me back or whatever. And then, once they hear his story, they're like, man, I need to stay and get this then.
And I talk to Fred often. He's very knowledgeable in all things reentry.
Very.
And so he's somebody that I love to pull up on and to mentor me in these ways. And he has not forgotten, and he is doing all that he can to help bring those that are on the inside on the outside so that they can be successful. Are you aware of any other Ms. Nottage programs that is like yours that's working in the Georgia system?
Mm-mm.
Why is that the case?
It's because none is developed. They used to have a reentry program, but I guess because of funding, it was cut. It was in the institution like 2 or 3 years ago, but it was cut, I guess, because of funding.
Okay. All right. So when I ask you the question, what can we do? Maybe that's something that the community could do. They can rally around what's going on, the prototype, if you will, of what you are doing, and legislate that and try to help
Help
other.
assist. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So that's what I say. Creatively think of some things that we can do to assist you and your team. Do you have any others on your team that you would like to share who they are and what they do?
Yes, Miss Susan Holt. She's also a case manager. Tamika Blake Williams. She's a case manager. Mr. John Nicholson. He is the manufacturing train instructor. Um, Mr. PJ is the logistics instructor, and Bill Burns is the welding instructor.
Okay, so case manager, give me a little understanding of their role.
Case manager, which is me. Um, we go in the institution. It's supposed to be twice a month, but it seems like we goes in there um twice out the week just to make sure, just to make sure, the living arrangements is good, because we're their voice while they're inside. If their plumbing is bad, we go and we take it to the warden, or we take it to the deputy warden and say, hey, dorm shower is messy, we need and they get it done. So it's like we're their voice while they're on the inside. If someone needs to get the medical, or they haven't had their medicine and the counselor is not helping them, then I'm gonna say I have done it myself, and took them the medical and made sure they got those things done. So
wow. Now see, and that's the story also that we want to hear, because your primary job is to help them to prepare for the outside, but while you're on the inside, you still recognize their humanity. Am I not
correct? Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and now when you do that, is that do you have, and what I want you to do too is share some of your successes. Now we do know that there are some times when we lead people in the right direction and it doesn't work, but they have that choice. But I want you to share some of your successes and struggles as it relates to the men and their stories.
Well, I can say
you don't have to call their names out either.
No, I can say a struggle for some, just being able to adapt, because they're coming from maximum prison. Some are close, and now they have to adapt to live normal in a dorm. So some of them getting used to not being in the rowdiness is kind of hard for them, but they're adjusting, and they know that they need to adjust and adapt so that they can become a better person.
Okay. What about your successes on the outside as relates to their smooth transition and then their jobs?
Okay, I can say I have one so far that has been released, and currently he was working, but he decided he wanted to go to school for CDL training. So he's currently enrolled in CDL.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, there are those that you help when they come out who don't have a place to live. You help provide housing. Is that true?
Well, we don't give them housing. We connect them with RPH, the Union Mission. They assist. Was it Inner City Night Shelter? They assist. They, until they can get their paycheck, and then they can move on to get an apartment or whatever. But yeah.
So what I'm hearing on the inside,
if we could set up something where some housing, where housing isn't an issue, because a lot of them, housing is the issue. And if you have a stable place to live in and you have work, you're not going to go back.
True. Are you okay? Remember this question. Is there a world or a space where you and your team have the ear of DOC or Department of Community Supervision or Pardons and Parole to allow them to know the necessity for housing?
I mean, we had a meeting with someone that was on the Department of Supervision. He knows about the housing issue. He knows it's a housing issue, but if you can't get the city to realize,
Okay, you're being diplomatic. I understand. So what I'm hearing is not only are you compassionate and you're caring for the men on the inside, whether it's a dormitory issue or medical issue, you're helping in that field. But when they get out, you're also trying to provide those stable things that's necessary: housing,
Correct.
employment, transportation, and things of that sort.
Yes.
And you
Transportation.
now, Tisha Fulton has something she said. She said that is a very good thing to do for a person, which allows them not to fall between the cracks while they're on the inside. So, in other words, she again is saying kudos to what you are doing. How are you guarding your heart against? I guess the word I want to use is the monotony of repetition. When you understand my question, I mean, how do you keep that drive going against the walls that you are coming up against?
I couldn't answer that. I'm just me, I guess. I came from a field of nursing, so I always been in the caring aspect.
Okay, gotcha. So that's just a part of your nature.
Correct.
Okay, so what I want you to do now is, because we have three different audiences. You have the community, those who know nothing about incarceration. You have returning citizens, those who have come home. You also have those that are on the inside, still waiting. What would you say? I want you to speak to these three audiences. A word of encouragement, however you choose to.
A word of encouragement for the ones that are out and striving to keep the head up and to keep pushing toward the sky and never look back. The ones that are currently incarcerated, I tell them, look at it as the what if, what if I can get out and become a model citizen and never return back to prison? What if I can be that dad that I need to be? What if I can be that son that I need to be? But you have to get out and you have to stay focused and encouraged and maintain and prayed up.
Oh, that's that key right there. Prayed up. What about the community? What would you say to the community as it relates to their response or welcoming of men and women who are coming back?
The community, I would say, they did their time. Don't be so hard. Everybody deserves a second chance.
One thing about you, sister, you're going to just get to me straight like that. I'm going to pull it out you, though. I'm going to pull it out. Yes, ma'am. By the time you come back next time, you're going to be ready to flow. Do you have any specific questions for me?
I want to know a little bit about your OAA.
Okay. OAA is Offender Alumni Association. Now, you know what an alumni is, like a college alumni, where I believe that we have the largest alumni, probably, I think I can say in the world, because there are a lot of people who have been in and out of incarceration. And so when you have that many people, that is a base, that is a movement, if you will. And if we can be positive and try to make way for those who are coming on the outside, then that's even better. And that's what we do at Offender Alumni Association Savannah. We provide a safe space for men and women who have returned from prison, whether it was 20 years ago or 20 days ago. And what do we do in that safe space? We allow them to be encouraged, edified, and also empowered. What do I mean by that? Well, when you understand that you are not in this thing by yourself, that encourages you. Because so often the enemy causes us to feel like I'm in this thing alone. And that brings upon depression. And the depression brings upon disassociation. And when that happens, you draw into yourself and start going back to what you used to do. negatively.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, we want to encourage them, but we also want to educate them or edify. How do we do that? By allowing them to know that you can make it, because here others have made it. Get your education. You can do confronting self. We teach life skills so that they will be able to sell themselves. And then thirdly, we empower them. How do we do that? Well, we at OAA have aligned ourselves with employers so that when somebody is getting out, they call Mr. Campbell, Miss Jones, Mr. Thompson. They call us and say, can you help me find a job? And we say, yes, we can. So we get on the mic and we listen and we hook them up. And that's how we empower them. So that's one thing we do at OAA. Another thing we do is what we're doing right now. We provide a platform for them to tell their story, because when they tell their story, it changes the narrative. And when the narrative is changed, like you just said, not all of us are bad. We may have started out wrong, but look at us now. We are finishing strong. Julius Hall usually says a debt paid is no longer a debt. You just said that also. Listen, you could be a co-host because you're already stealing our quotes. But nevertheless, that's what OAA does. And we help. And guess what, OAA, the beautiful thing about it is we are a grassroots nonprofit that is directed and facilitated by returning citizens. So we understand.
Right.
So I want to say thank you to you, Miss Adrian, because while I was there, don't get me wrong, there were few and far between, but there were those staff members that did care. A counselor or an officer or well, few and far between, but there were those who did care. And I appreciate you for not only saying it, but showing it, even now, by going back in and helping. Because you know what? You know what I'm finna say. A lot of times we were dehumanized. We were stripped of humanity and given a number. But look what you're doing. Even though you're on the outside, you are helping them to do the things that others may not. What's up? I see a couple of more people. Shouts out to those of you that are watching. What's up, JS? And also I see you, Frazana Brooks. Thank you for watching as well. And all of you, Barbara Often. She says, Julius, after the show, give her the info for tomorrow. That's one of my OAA ladies.
Okay.
I did. We already did some shots out. We'll do that again. Tomorrow from 12 to 3, we're having a me time for ladies that have been incarcerated. And what we want to do is just love on them, support them, and remind them that they are important. And so that's what we're doing. So before we get ready to leave, is there anything else you want to say in closing, Ms. Nottage?
No.
Pulling it out of y'all. Well, thank you again for joining us. And those of you that are watched tonight, I appreciate you giving the shots out. And remember, we may have started out wrong, but check us out now. We are finishing strong. And not only are we successful in staying out, we are successful in multiple ways. And before I close, I want to say this, not only to you, Ms. Nottage, but also to our listeners. There are many men and women behind bars right now who are ready. They just need an opportunity. Because of politics and all these other things, they are missing these opportunities. Also, because there are no viable addresses for them to come home, they are missing opportunity. And also because, and I hate to say it, but those that are not doing their paperwork correctly or putting information in to allow the parole board to know that they're ready, they are not coming home. Community, find out what's going on with your loved ones on the inside, because there are a lot of men and women who are progressively preparing themselves to be successful men and women on the outside, and they need our help. So in closing, I see you, Tisha. Tisha says, will tomorrow event be broadcast? We'll try to see if we can make sure. Julius Hall, you heard that. We got to make sure. Tisha says she want to be there, and she in Las Vegas. Not this time, Tisha. Oh, Tisha. Thank you, Ms. Nottage. Have a wonderful day. And anything else we can do to help, we will. If you need to holler at us, Julius@deepcenter.org. We'll make sure that information is out. What's up, Bernard Brown? Hello to the people. Talk to you later. Much love.
Bye-bye. All right.
Have a wonderful night.
Good night.
like this.